So that was just like, he no longer like was performing, you know? So like
Yeah, yeah,
none of us were working. So then it was like another like year of me just like playing other random gigs, being like, is this really what I want to do with my life? Like, I don't know, you know, because it's just it's
yeah,
so disheartening. But like fun at the same time. But you know, you see your other friends moving up in life, being like, you know, having like a better apartment and stuff, and you're like, okay, I'm still in like a very bad area.
yeah.
And then eventually it was so random. I got a message on Facebook. A friend of a friend reached out to me asking if I wanted to audition for Katy Perry, saying he was assisting for the music director. He was like his assistant or something. And I was like, wait, what? Like I kind of didn't believe it. I was like, okay, this is hilarious, right? Like, yeah, let me just say yes. And then I went to this audition, and I don't think I've ever been more nervous in my life. Like it was absolutely just like, what am I doing here? But I honestly felt like I played great. Like it felt good. Like, you know, it was just because everybody, when I walked into the audition room, everyone was so nice. I was like, oh my gosh, this band vibe is awesome. People
Yeah.
were just like genuinely welcoming. And that's like, you know, you don't find that in every band. Um, and so I went to that audition, and then I went to a callback where she was there too. So then I auditioned in front of her, and then that's basically how I got the gig. Like it's so random because it's like this the guy who referred me to this music director was somebody who remembered me from USC. Which is like we didn't have a big connection by any means, you know what I mean? It was just so random, and it was just I felt like it was like the universe was like, okay, you're ready for this now. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
Because like those things are just like, how do you put that into action? Like that's just like out of your hands, you know?
You
I
must
think
have
it's like,
manifested that for a long time.
I guess it's just like you put in the work, you're like running around town, you know, learning on all these gigs, and then eventually the universe is like, you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, go do this.
Yeah. It just picks a
Yeah.
time and then just gives it to you when it's right.
Yeah, totally.
It's so weird, which is like
So weird.
it's that's such difficult advice for people who want to do the job because it's like, well, you'll just do it when you're ready to do it, you know. But
Yeah,
you can also
no, I
like,
know.
yeah, but there
But
are
I do
also
think,
things that you can do in the meantime. Like
oh no, of
you worked your
course.
ass off, right?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like I gigged so much around LA, and I definitely say like I learned like on all those things. And like I learned on the previous gigs, like the Zayn gig I did, you know? Like there was something big I learned there was just like I had no clue about the whole amp modeling world when I joined that gig. You know, I was just used to playing amps with and pedal boards. And on that gig, everybody eventually switched to using Fractal Axe Effects gear. And we got these little like fractal pedal boards, and then like the guitar tech taught us how to use that and everything. And then that eventually I took to the Katy Perry gig, which was perfect because I mean to the Katy Perry audition, which was perfect because that was the exact gear they used, you know? So it was something like, you know, like these little things, these building blocks along the
It's
journey.
so wild. I was so lucky to have Lana Del Rey's drummer on the podcast, Tom Marsh.
Mm,
And just such a similar thing happened with him where when he was in his like teenage years or 20s, he went to Jerusalem just to like work
mhm.
in a bar, and he
Oh my
bumped
God.
into a guy who like opened his eyes up. He would had like all these CDs and electronic cassettes and things like that, and he gave them all to Tom Marsh, and then he really started getting into electronic music. And then something like
Yeah.
10 years later, when Lana Del Rey's people asked him to go and do it,
Oh
there
my
were
God.
things from that guy. Like,
That's so
isn't that
brilliant.
so weird?
It's so great. It's
I
all the things
know.
we gather on the journey.
Yeah, and that's such an amazing like the unit. Like the one thing, like I don't know if you've read The Secret, have you?
You know, I never read it, but I saw it was like a documentary as well,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Yeah.
like the kind of ethos is like the same as just what you were saying. It's like, manifest it and then it'll come to you, act like it's yours, and it'll come all that stuff. And
Yeah.
so the only thing that I didn't really like, which I liked what you said, is that it was the narrative she kind of said of like, well, I was poor, so I wanted money, so I manifested a check in the mail. And it's like, well, you also wrote like a best-selling book, it's like,
Totally.
don't take away the fact that you have to really work
You
and
do
then
things
it comes.
exactly. No,
So
it's
yeah, so you've obviously done two of the biggest auditions like for any musician, especially on that was Zayn. I'm guessing it was the Pillow Talk album. It was that
yes,
album,
it
right?
was.
Which
Yeah.
was like such a great record.
It was so good, right?
So
Yes.
what did you have to do in these auditions?
That's a great question. So, I think in the Zayn audition, they had the band there. So I was playing with the band that was currently there, and they were just trying to add a second guitar player. And I think they sent me 2 songs. I think it was probably, I can't even remember the songs, to be totally honest, but they sent me 2 songs and just had me play them. Um, I think that's all it was. Like, I don't remember there being anything else in that particular one. And then the Katy Perry audition, there was no band playing. They were just there watching, and they had me play to a backing track. And they sent me 2 songs as well. That was Chained to the Rhythm and E.T. And like they sent me like the song and the guitar stem up, and they were like, just try to recreate the tones as much as possible for this audition
Right.
and play these parts basically. And then they were like, play a solo in this section. So they told me beforehand what I needed to do,
Okay.
you know? And then, so then I got there and I just played those 2 songs and took a solo on ET, and it was like honestly really easy now that I think about it. I was like, wow, that was so easy. And then after that, I think they asked me to like, they were just like, yeah, just like play something you feel like is you, just like jam along. And I'm like, that to me, I was like, okay. I don't even know what I did. I might have like looped, like did a little loop pedal and like jammed along to some progression I made up right there. I honestly don't even remember. So that was that audition. And then at the callback, where Katy was there, it was me and a drummer were auditioning together. And so I think we also played 2 songs. I'm not sure if they were the same 2 songs. And then after that, she asked us to, I think she asked us to like jam a little bit, just like jam. And then she asked me to sing. So then I was like, okay, I just like sang a song that I was like, used to singing. It was honestly all just like super like random. And I was like, okay, I don't know. I was like so nervous. So
how did you deal with those nerves? That's like going from like probably the local circuit to like, you know, some of the biggest pop stars in the world. Like, how do you come over that?
That's a great question. Oh man, that's such a good question. I feel like I mean that they were there while I was playing. Obviously, like the nerves were like hardcore there. But for some reason, I feel like if I'm playing within the style that I'm good at, which tends to be like pop rock music, or if I get to take a solo, like I feel like I could still play well. You know what I mean? I could
Yeah.
still do my thing. I feel like if I was asked to play like a jazz song while I'm nervous, like I would just botch it. You know what I mean? Because I'd be all in my head. But I feel like within pop music, you get to like feel within your body, and like that is to me like super helpful with overcoming nerves. Is like get into your body, like move your like when you're auditioning, like make sure you stand, like move, like if you can like dance to the groove. I feel like I know that sounds like so ridiculous, but I feel like you can overcome nerves just by moving your body and getting into the music, you know?
Yeah, and that performance element, was that like, I can imagine if you're with a band, it's not so bad. So with the Zayn one, you're with everyone else, so you can vibe off everyone else. But I've done auditions before where it's just you, and then to like vibe on your own to a CD looks so awkward, you know?
Totally. I know, it's so true.
So what did you do? You just get into it.
Honestly, just get into. I mean, so much of what I like love about music and performing is that you get to like have fun and dance along to the music, you know? Like I don't like to just stand there. And honestly, if I just stand there, it feels very odd. So I like to just move around. And I mean, it wasn't like moving, like walking around the stage, like being total rock star, you know? I was just like having fun grooving.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, that's great for anyone who wants to know. I've been to a few auditions which are way worse, where you are like, you're in the room whilst the other people in your position are auditioning.
Yes. Oh my
That's
gosh.
like awful.
That sounds awful. Why would they do that?
Yeah, because then this sheep and herd mentality comes in, where you think, well, like I wouldn't play it like, I'm not going to play it like that. But then if 3 people before you have played it like that, you're kind of like, well, do I or don't I? And then it takes like a strong character to be like, I'm just going to still play how I play, you know?
Yeah. Oh, wow. That would be so brutal.
Yeah, I know. I was speaking to, the last one I did was with a drum teacher at Berkeley in Boston. And he was saying similar things happen. And we were talking about an audition where, you know, people, like I said, where people will go up and then people will follow that. But all it takes is one person say, do you know what? I'm going to just play how I play. And he was talking about a Latin guy, I think, a Brazilian Latin guy who was auditioning for some Afro-Cuban gig in Brazil, like a massive time gig. And all of these timbale players came in and were going wild and blah, 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 blah. And then this guy came in, and instead of following like the 4 people that went before him, he literally
Yeah.
just played where he should have played. So he only played
Yeah.
like he said something like, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something like he played like 20 notes, but he got the job.
Nice.
You
That's
know, so it's like,
awesome.
that's like a testament to like musical integrity, right?
Totally. It's so
And
good.
is it the same with these big gigs? Is that you play like very much in line with what's going on? Like it's not really about us, is it?
No, I mean 100%, especially with the Katy Perry and the Zayn gig. It was all about just you play the parts they want you to play. Um, and I think there's something fun and rewarding about that. It's like, you're trying to recreate this tone like as much as possible. You're trying to play this part as exact as possible. And I think as musicians, like, we want to be emotional and creative and expressive. And I think sometimes that can feel like stifling, but at the end of the day, it's just how you look at it. And like, I found such like, satisfaction, I guess, in trying to just do my best at the job, and you can find your creative times elsewhere.